welcome to Disney Day 17. Today we will be discussing and rating The Fox and the Hound. So The Fox and the Hound is a story about a fox called Todd and a hound dog called Copper, who grow up next to each other on a farm. Todd is adopted by Widow Tweed, and Copper is a hound dog for the villainous Amos Slade. Despite the fact that they are prey and predator, I guess, they form a friendship until basically one day Todd has to go away because he's too old and is being hunted down by Amos Slade. His other dog, Chief, and then I guess Copper as well, because Copper is also a hunting dog. Todd then gets taken to a sanctuary by Widow Tweed. It's one of the saddest scenes in the film, where he meets a whole host of other animals, including a lady fox named Vixie. They then get together, more stuff happens, there's a big fight, and it ends up with Todd moving back home and everyone being friends.
See, if I know it's not based on this, but seeing as a lot of Disney's come down to important literary works, but absolutely remastered, I think that Fox and the Hound's always reminded me of Romeo and Juliet, but instead of a romance, it's a friendship between two warring factions. But then the new relationship between Fox and Hound, they're questioning, why are we enemies? We like each other, why are we enemies? It's all about questioning why things are the way they are, and why sometimes that's really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it was done as, there's more serious undertones to it. So this was 70s, wasn't it?
Yes.
Late 70s. It's a lot to do with racial stereotyping and just the resulting integration in that time period in America in the 50s, 60s. It's just basically to do with there's no reason why these two shouldn't like each other just because they've been told not to.
Yeah, of course, for me it just simply works as fox hunting is really bad. I think,
which it is.
Yeah. I almost think that carries on with the Romeo and Juliet. It's telling that Romeo and Juliet story, but instead of it being loads of rich Italians, actually it's about something that everyone can find accessible. Fox hunting. Why are we doing it? And Copper is the dog.
Yeah, Copper's the dog.
Sorry, I get him.
Voiced by Kurt Russell.
Very
younger
young.
Copper when he was 14.
Yeah, he's the antagonist, but he's not the antagonist because he doesn't know why he's the baddie, and in the end he puts down that.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, I watched it recently, and in my head, I thought it ended with Copper dying. And
No.
I have no idea why, massive spoiler, sorry, but we discussed so many spoilers over the course of this series,
Yeah,
I don't
sorry.
know why I'm only doing spoiler alert now. But I watched it recently, and I've only ever watched it as an adult and as a very young child, and for some reason I was convinced the fox ends up getting killed, and I thought...
No, Copper's the dog.
I thought the fox dies, okay? Yeah, I thought the fox got eaten by the hound, but that isn't what happens. So I was pleasantly surprised when I watched it as an adult. I was bracing for some Disney heartbreak, and it never came.
Well, there is the scene on the train tracks, isn't there, where the train's coming and they're chasing each other across, and I think that ends up with Amos Slade breaking his leg and Chief gets injured before when Copper lets Todd go.
Yeah, because the reason their friendship was allowed to continue as a child, I think, is because the other dog was doing all the hunting, but then the other dog was injured. So
yeah, because then it ended, didn't it, when they had to send Copper away for training, because they go basically during the winter. They go off to his log cabin to hunt, and then when they come back, Copper's older and he's been trained how to hunt, because do you remember they go off in the wagon and they come back and the wagon's loaded full of pelts? And then at that point, the owl, who is the wise mother figure, is oh no honey, Copper's a trained hunting dog now.
The Fox and the Hound it almost doesn't belong in the Dark Ages, because while it probably, again, it's probably another cute animal story, but it has...
It feels very much like it came from it fits in quite nicely around the same time as 101 Dalmatians, Jungle Book, Aristocats.
And it has meat at its story, which is, well, my reason I didn't like Rescuers so much yesterday is because it didn't have heart as a story. Fox and the Hound is kind of the opposite. It strips back all the stylistic stuff, just tells a story. And I think that's kind of almost, when you think of the Dark Ages, Fox and the Hound is almost there, like, it doesn't really deserve to be categorised in there. So I always feel a little bit sorry for it.
There's also only like one major song in it as well, isn't there? Which is Best of Friends. Which is another thing with Dark Age Disney. There's not a lot of songs.
No, music is almost something that Disney keeps on being unsure if it likes or not. Like, I mean, recently with the more modern classics, it's all been about the music. But then before that, it wasn't so much about the music. And then the 90s were like, let's bring back the music. And then the Dark Ages, not so much. And it's almost like Disney drops it and lets it go. What I'd like to say is that depends on how best to tell the story. Some Disneys need the music, and I think the music's really well written, and I'll discuss that when we get to them. But I think there are certain stories. I don't see music really happening with Fox and the Hound. I think that would make it weaker.
Yeah, it doesn't really need it. It doesn't need like the fox, like when Todd goes off to the animal sanctuary. There is a song there as well. But like when he finds Vixie, it doesn't basically need to break into like a "Can You Feel the Love Tonight"-esque duet. Like, it's not needed. It's just very much like, and now there's a lady fox, and Todd likes that lady fox, and that's all we're gonna say about that, kids.
Yeah, I think with the Fox and the Hound, some of the beats like Vixie probably wasn't as developed as she could have been. It was basically to prove that the fox went away and had a life.
Yeah.
And then the dog went away and had a life, and then they meet up again. But I think that middle section, nobody wants to spend time with the middle section.
But then I guess also Todd has like, after he's met Vixie, and presumably they're gonna have kittens. That is what baby foxes are called. Cubs. Kittens or cubs. Like, he has more of a reason to not like Copper at that point, because he's like, well, your entire job is to hunt down and kill my family.
Yeah, I think...
like, it's just like she's there to serve the point of the more he goes out into the world, the more reason he has not to have anything to do with Copper.
Yeah, I don't think that was as clear as it could have been. The ending's surprisingly good with the crazy bear. I like that.
Oh, the bear!
Everyone forgets about the bear, but what I love about that is the bear almost works better as a forgotten treat, because the human, I keep on forgetting his name. Amos Slade. He's going around as the villain, and then when the chips are down, there is a bigger... I'm not even going to say villain. There's a bigger threat out there.
Let's just point out that Amos Slade deserved what that bear wanted to do.
Yeah. It just proves that there are bigger bears in the woods, as that old famous saying, which isn't a thing.
There are bigger bears in the woods. I remember my dad sitting me down and telling me that, saying when I lost my first boyfriend.
Fun fact.
Fun fact is that in the woodland scenes, various scenes, there are squirrels, and one of those squirrels is actually Arthur from The Sword in the Stone in his squirrel form.
Good old Arthur coming back.
Would you like to rate?
Yeah, I like Fox and the Hound. I don't think it deserves to be in the Dark Ages. I think it's a very middle of the pack Disney. So I'm going to give it a 6.
I'm also going to give it a 6. Yeah, that's fair.
It's a strong average Disney. I think it works really well as just... It's not going to be one of the greats, because the story's a little bit too simple for that, but it avoids so many... It doesn't
deserve to be forgotten.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't deserve to be nestled in between two of the weaker Disneys. But we'll get to that tomorrow.
Yeah. And with that, we are off. Have a magical rest of your day.